I think when you get to a semi-final of the Champions League, that's not every year you can do that because of the quality of the competition. So I think once you get to the semi-final, you feel that way just in general. And I think football changes. You know, we've seen teams get hot. We've seen the years where Barcelona was unbeatable, the years that AC Milan was unbeatable. We've seen the 1 year that Chelsea was so hot and they went on to win it with a Didier Drogba that was fantastic, right? So football changes. I don't think anyone looks at Real Madrid and says, oh, well, they're out of the tournament now, we have a chance. I think we're talking about Arsenal. We're talking about Barcelona. I don't think they go to bed at night thinking about Real Madrid.
And then there was 4. Here is a look at the 2 semi-final matches we've got to look forward to as the road to Munich continues. Arsenal, PSG on one side of the bracket, and on the other, it's Barcelona and Inter. So let's see who the updated odds favour from Opta.
Wow, look how balanced that is.
That's pretty close, isn't it? Arsenal still at the top, though, just. Let's see what our YouTube friends think, if they agree with Opta. Yes, they do, by much more, actually. We must have a lot of Gunners fans in the chat tonight.
But the Opta's least favorite, which was Barcelona, actually, if you look back at that, are the second favorite amongst the fans. Football isn't played with odds.
Sure isn't.
I got a better source than both those things that we just put up there, and it's called Las Vegas, who are usually pretty accurate, and they've got Barcelona as the favorites, PSG as the second favorites, and then they have Arsenal and Inter last. So that's what the
bookies think.
The bookies think.
Is Inter being disrespected, do you think, by all the statistics there?
I'm not sure. They were plus 1,000 before the Bayern Munich matchup, which is obviously you have to put 100 to win 1,000, 10 to 1 odds.
That's not bad, is it?
But it's because the road, and it's because, and it's the same reason to take nothing away from them. We cover them all year. I love to watch them play football, and I love to see them at their best. But to think that they're going to go past Bayern Munich, past Barcelona, past an Arsenal or PSG is just hard for me to believe.
At this point, I don't think the odds are disrespecting Inter, just because Barcelona...
Inter's 5 to 1 still.
Right.
So that's still pretty high.
And Barcelona are an extraordinary team, and I think that has a lot to play with the fact that Inter are 5 to 1, right? I thought a couple rounds before, maybe then we're talking about Inter being disrespected. But if I had to put my money, if I was a betting man and I had to choose between Barcelona and Inter, I would choose Barcelona. But I don't foresee this being, I don't think any of us sitting here, we've talked about this before, this feels like the possibility of a game that can play into Inter's lap. But Inter need to be efficient on the other end to make it so.
We've got 3 teams, Nige, that are still in contention for a treble. Of all of those teams, which one do you think is the most likely to win it this season?
I mean, the 3 teams, I'd have to go with Paris Saint-Germain. I think that they've secured, obviously, Ligue 1. They are one of the favourites that still could win this competition. And obviously the French Cup. So I think they're the most likely to get it done because the other 2 teams, Barcelona, have still got Real Madrid on their heels, and now Real Madrid are out of the Champions League. They can focus more domestically on the league. Inter competing in, again, Coppa d'Italia against their greatest rivals, AC Milan. And then also Napoli are chasing their hot heels in Serie A. So there's a lot more emotion in those 2 teams compared to Paris Saint-Germain, where I feel it's just a lot more focus and easier and more simple run for them.
You've got 2 teams in there as well still that haven't won the Champions League. Is there one team, Nico, that's under more pressure than the other 3?
PSG probably, but it's not that easy of an answer. Just given their domestic context, how... I don't want to say easy because you got to go out there week in, week out.
They've been chasing this for so long. They got the 3 greatest front 3 ever. This is what they've wanted.
But there's pressure. I don't want to dismiss Arsenal. I think the answer is PSG. But what I'm getting at is that Arsenal's under pressure to win this too. They might walk away trophyless. And then what do we say? Going back to the conversation we had at the beginning of the hour about where's the progress in this Arteta project, right?
I understand that, but I think with Arsenal they've always wanted to win the Champions League, no problem. But for their fan base and stuff, domestically as well, winning the Premier League title again, since obviously the term that Arsene Wenger had is a big thing that they want to do. PSG had an influx of money and it was straight Champions League. This is what we want.
Right, for sure.
So
I get that.
They're under way more tremendous pressure for this trophy than I would Arsenal. But you're right in the point where if they don't win anything, it's another season that's trophyless. Right. But for this competition...
Let me throw out another scenario that we're not there yet. This is not the reality, the path that our reality has taken. Barca could lose the Copa del Rey final to Real Madrid. Barca could then slip up in La Liga thinking of Champions League coming up. and they lose La Liga to Real
Same
Madrid.
for Inter, though.
And then Real Madrid wins both.
In the Coppa Italia and lose to Napoli
For
in
sure.
the domestic league.
And then Barcelona's season, who has been up here so far, I think this is an unlikely scenario, but then is in shambles, and all they have to justify it for is the Champions League. Then the pressure's really on for them to deliver the Champions League after an extraordinary season that they put together through April 16th. So the easy answer is PSG is what I'm getting at. But the Champions League is everything for a lot of these teams, and the other ones that have just as much pressure are right behind PSG to
Does
deliver.
it make the pressure higher with the fact that there's no Manchester City in the competition now, there's no Real Madrid, that these teams are in it with the teams that are left in the competition? Grella, do you think that a lot of them will be feeling like if it's going to happen for us, it's got to happen now?
I think when you get to a semi-final of the Champions League, that's not every year you can do that because of the quality of the competition. So I think once you get to the semi-final, you feel that way just in general. And I think football changes. You know, we've seen teams get hot. We've seen the years where Barcelona was unbeatable, the years that AC Milan was unbeatable. We've seen the 1 year that Chelsea was so hot and they went on to win it with a Didier Drogba that was fantastic, right? So football changes. I don't think anyone looks at Real Madrid and says, oh, well, they're out of the tournament now, we have a chance. I think we're talking about Arsenal. We're talking about Barcelona. I don't think they go to bed at night thinking about Real Madrid and thinking about Manchester City. You know, I mean, we may never see Manchester City with the way Pep had them a few years ago for the last 5-10 years where they dominated football. We may never see it again. We don't know. So I think that these teams understand there's a semi-final, that they have a lot of homework to do now in the next couple matches, and that they're all so close. And they're all a little bit imperfect, right? They're all a little bit imperfect. And to me, we talked about the odds earlier, but there's not one clear favorite in it.
100%. The beauty of football is not always the best team wins. We've seen it last year where Dortmund, the side that surprised us, got all the way to the final. So I think that right now all these ties are going to be very tightly fought and very close.
Here's a look at the first legs that we'll see. Does it play a factor, playing that first leg away from home and then having the comfort of playing in your home ground in the second?
I would say I feel so, yeah. I feel playing at home is there's more pressure, and that's the vital tie than anything else that matters. I know we're not playing Champions League football anymore where the away goals count, so it's changed the dynamic of it. But the home field advantage is vital, I feel. If you're playing at home first, you have to get the win.
OK, well, you can see the semi-finals first leg Tuesday, April 29th, and then the next day on Wednesday, the 30th. Just one match per day. We're finally at that point of the season.